Welcome everyone to the Deanne Burley show, and today the new program is called Black Issues Today, and this is a report on respect and the issues that are going on in the black community. Today I read an article that was in one of the newspapers that spoke of a man jogging on the south side of Chicago on 29th and Vernon, which is considered the Gap, and Lake Meadows, or back then it was called Prairie Shores. Anyway, this gentleman was accosted and attacked, sexually assaulted, they said in the article. A black man. I noticed that this came viral onto Facebook. You know, a person had written a comment stating, wow, it's getting serious now. Wasn't it serious before, when African American children were being accosted and raped, or women on the streets being accosted or raped, or individuals being robbed on the streets? I lived in that area back, in fact, when I was a very, very little girl in the 50s. And as I grew up, I saw the lingering evidence of crime building up. Some of the schools had crime in it, sexual assaults back in the 60s. And it carried on into the other schools, the magnet schools, and various schools that were on the south side, and moved and moved and moved in other directions. We have a situation, it's a huge problem, folks, and it's not just black men being assaulted, it's assaults across the border. Now, could it be because of the lack of consciousness and respect people within the black community are giving to other people? There's a huge problem, folks, that has not been discussed, not in full. The open policy of racism and hatred within the black community itself. I recall the issue of lighter-skinned blacks basically marrying lighter-skinned blacks, because it was a situation that they would get the jobs and they would be able to move, etc., etc. I remember the resentment, which is worse than ever today, of those that are brown-skinned and darker complected against the lighter-skinned blacks. Some of them just hear your tone of voice and think you're not African American enough, or black, or whatever you want to call yourself. They become threatened and angry and speak to people with disrespect. Then you ask questions about how does that system apply to the elders within the community. Well, again, there are some that respect and many that do not. Well, I remember the late Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was teaching respect because I guess he was seeing the possibility of this happening in the future. Within the Muslim community, the black Muslims have been very much teaching respect of elders, teaching respect of people in general. But then the overall community has so many barriers and so many levels of hatred amongst itself. Has opened the door to the situation that's going on now. And the need to get assistance from the government or assistance from the folks that are running things is just phenomenal. And that need that they're festered into has caused the disintegration, I would say, of the communities of themselves. I recall a time when there were black businesses. They talk about Black Wall Street. Well, I was on the committee that was developing the project of the black rebuild of the Gap in the area of King Drive. I was involved with the Historical Society. I had gone and I had worked in the various areas to try to communicate people back and forth. In fact, I was the one that brought the liberal whites together to make sure that Harold Washington was able to become mayor of the city of Chicago the first time. And I look at what's going on right now, and it is just ridiculous. I can't believe that you can't get on the bus and without fear of being accosted and attacked. This is what's put out in the press. Now, is it real? I don't know. Is it not real? Then we need to discuss it, and that's what I'm doing on a new program I'm putting on Blog Talk Radio on Sunday night called Black Issues Today. Today I'm talking about respect. I don't see it not like it used to be. I don't see neighborhoods being the way it should be. I look at things and I'm just appalled to what's happening. Other cultures have taught their families to stick together, and some do and many do not. Not in the black community, not like it should. People have gotten to the point that they depend on the system itself to support them. It's gotten to the point where the system is using them and putting them in prisons and using them as slave labor. Yes, the prison system is set up that way, and we're falling game and prey into it. If somebody has some information that they've tried to share within the black community, the others in the black community get resentment and they fight you back. It's unreal. I recall back in the 80s, I went into the South Side, in the area of Inglewood. At that time, I was on the Lawyers Guild, and I convinced them to help work on cases, felony cases, of African Americans being incarcerated. I went to Inglewood Library and tried to set up a base there, dealing with that and dealing with the issue of how to get a home on the set-aside program they had in regards to, it was called CAP, getting abandoned buildings. There was a key issue that I needed to discuss to the people that came in. They ran in, grabbed paper, and ran out. Only a few people got those houses. The rest of them went to a church group because no one in the black community took time to listen. Why they didn't listen is because I don't talk the lingo most times. I'm not accepted, not because of color, because I consider myself brown skin, but then there is disrespect based on color, voice, and the overture of what people considered black, which is not being black. Sometimes it's just total ignorance, because people just feel that they have the right to disrespect people in the community. And I would like to hear your opinion on it. Now, remember back there in the 60s when you had H. Rap Brown and you had Stokely Carmichael and various people. In fact, Stokely was a good friend of my dad. I met Stokely when I was a little girl. And the bottom line was, it was still a level of respect. I'm not seeing it. Not on all planes. Not at all. And then you expect the youth to have respect, and if they look and see what's going on, they don't see anything. They don't see anything. The city went through and took away the swings out of many of the playgrounds out of the projects. They took away play yards. They took away this and that and the other, saying that everybody was a gang member. Nobody stood up and did stand up to do anything. And if they did, they were basically put back in their place because they couldn't speak up against the quote-unquote man, which is a system. It's not a situation of just pointing fingers at white. It's just the system itself. There are blacks within the system that are the same as the system, or what you call man. You recognize it. same ones you high-five and talk to in the community. A lot of those folks are in the community, but they work on the other side, and they're not going to give up their money, their responsibility, so that they can survive to you. It's a slave system, and nobody can see it. We can't talk amongst each other. If you talk religion, it's a big nightmare. We don't know anything. We have a clueless society. We read the literature that is given to us. We research what they give us to research, and therefore what we have is what it is that we're supposed to have knowledge of based on whoever it is, which is called them. Even white folks know this. White people even talk about, it's not called the man, it's called the system. They call it the New World Order. They call it whatever. They realize what's going on because they are being under attack now, too. Remember the word now. But the black community is far worse. The jobs are getting worse and worse to find, harder to find, harder to accomplish. Black men, though they claim to have respect for black people, are not listening to the fact that they are creating children that have no fathers, and the children are suffering. You have no way to support them, so why are you creating more and more children by different women that you are not going to be committed to? Nobody can make a commitment, fearful of commitment, fearful of responsibility, fearful of being really a people with families, and families that hand things down to. How many people are getting things handed down to them from former family members? Fathers and mothers right now are separated from their children. They can't communicate. I think of the murder of Marvin Gaye, situation between he and his father. Marvin was on drugs, but his father was very angry. There was a lot of abuse in that household. But it was well accepted that Marvin was killed. Should he have been killed? Was there another problem going on? We don't know. But we look at things and we don't realize that the lack of respect causes murder. The lack of respect causes you not to be able to understand what you need to do to survive in this world. The lack of respect, you don't listen. The lack of respect is you can't look at your children and expect those children in the street to have respect for you. The children on the street are shooting at people and killing them because they have no respect for life or death, because they're not seeing the same respect that handed down from their family to them. So how can they give respect to someone else? So what is it? Are we going to start growing up and being people that recognize that we need to work together, or are we going to be animals? In fact, animals have respect for other animals. So what does that leave us to? We allow the system to be our God. We allow the system to dictate what goes on in the community. We allow the system to take our men and imprison them. We allow the system to basically, blatantly remove our children from our homes. We allow the system to make us alcoholics because drugs and alcohol were not created by the black man. It came into the community. Again, who is at fault accepting these things? Is it us? Yes. They are just a tool and means to the end. And the end is very clearly here. The Koreans came in, the Arabs came in, opened shops in the community. Not one of us can open a shop. We're told we can't do this and that and the other. We believe it, and we get angry. And we don't seek to educate ourselves, not in the system, but outside through our people. Handed down skills, handed down relationships to know how to keep this community thriving. Instead, we allow universities and other individuals to come in and take our property away. When people know how to receive a situation or stop a situation, someone taking property, do you listen? No. Do you care to listen? No. It's a mindset of, I'm not listening to her. She talks different than me. She's got to be one of them. Or he looks different. Now, the next series I'm going to do, that's going to be broadcast here, is going to be in regards to how we view ourselves with the president being black. Again, this is going to be on tonight on Blog Talk Radio, the Deanne Burley Show, and it's going to be called Black Issues Today. Look for it. Call in. Want to hear from you. 718-508-9513 is the call-in line. 718-508-9513. Email me about this. DANNE.BURLEY @gmail.com. The lack of respect is the killer to the community itself. And who's to blame but the people themselves? We'll be back.